It's been 13 years since the 2008 global financial crisis, and since then a lot has changed. Thousands of bankers lost their jobs, bonuses shrunk, regulation and scrutiny increased, and now the world of tech and startups seem to take all the limelight, more than banking anyways. This begs the question, is investment banking still attractive as a career? What is going on, people? Welcome back to the channel. You know, today's video is quite an interesting one. So recently I saw a spike in one of my videos that was on private equity, and I made it quite a while ago. And the reason for that was there's this guy on TikTok going around asking people that own supercars what they do for a living. And so a lot of people said private equity. As a result, people Google searched the term and then they saw my video. And so naturally it made me think, is investment banking an attractive career in this day and age? Typically when you're at uni and you're thinking to yourself, what career can I do where I'll be paid a lot? I will have a prestigious bank's name or prestigious company on my business card. I will be able to wear lots of fancy suits, designer clothes, afford nice cars, so on and so forth. Basically live the life that you dreamed of growing up. And oftentimes you come to the conclusion that it's going to be working in finance, working in investment banking, or for an investment bank in a front office role typically. And so you decide, okay, cool, I'm going to become a banker, I'm going to become an investment banker, I'm going to become a trader, I'm going to become a salesperson. Whatever it might be, you've made the decision, you're going to be a banker. However, times have changed since 2008. So before 2008, you know, bankers were rolling in cash. They had lots of money, bonuses were huge. But since the global financial crisis of 2008, there's been a lot more regulation, there's been a lot more scrutiny around the bonuses that are paid to investment bankers and bankers in general. There's been a lot of public hatred towards bankers. Once upon a time it was like, oh wow, you're a banker, it's a great thing, people look up to you. Nowadays it's more, oh, you're a banker, you're a crook, oh, you're doing the devil's work, blah blah blah. There's a lot of negative connotation with the term investment banking or working for an investment bank. And then on the flip side, you've got big tech, Google, Facebook, Netflix, you've got startups in Silicon Valley. All of these companies since 2008 have grown from strength to strength. Every year they're raising lots more money, and as a result, all their employees, their founders, early employees getting lots of equity. They're doing IPOs and they're selling out for so much money, more than any investment banker could imagine. And so you have to ask yourself, is it worth applying to investment banks anymore? Is it worth doing these careers, or should I just focus on what's hot right now? Because banking has been popular and now it's on the decline. This video is kindly being sponsored by the lovely people over at Blinkist. For those of you that don't know, Blinkist is a super cool app. I actually discovered it around 3 years ago, and it basically summarizes non-fiction books into 15-minute snippets for you to read or listen to, and it gives you the key points. So over there I've got over 400 books. Most of them are non-fiction. Now I can pick one out and spend a week or two reading it, or I can just go to the Blinkist app and take the key points, the key lessons from the book, and that's it, move on to the next book. Blinkist has over 3,000 non-fiction books in its catalog, and what they're also doing now is shortcasts. So Blinkist shortcast is basically your favorite podcast, but the key points and the key lessons from that podcast for you on the Blinkist app. If you download the Blinkist app, 2 books I would definitely recommend you checking out. The first, Dale Carnegie's classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and the second, Mastery by Robert Greene. The first 100 people to sign up using the link in the video description below will get unlimited access for 1 week for free. And you'll also get 25% off if you want the full membership. The 7-day trial is completely free and you can cancel at any time during that period. Now naturally, when you're thinking about a career or a job, a number of factors influence the attractiveness of that role. Some of these things include the base salary and compensation at the end of the year, so the bonus, the working hours, the work-life balance, the nature of the work. What type of work are you going to be doing? Is it going to be boring, mundane tasks? Or are you going to be, you know, closing deals that are going to be on the front page of the news the next day? Or are you going to be doing updates on a computer that go through and filter through to hundreds of millions of users on the other end of an app? All of these things come together and dictate how attractive a job is to you. And if those things added up don't seem to get you excited and keen on applying for a role, it means it's not attractive to you as a potential career. So when it comes to the world of working for an investment bank or investment banking or a front office role specifically, if you ask yourself, are the investment banking exit opportunities still good? And are they better than or worse than they were, 10, 15 years ago? To be honest, if you're working in a front office role, the exit opportunities are going to be good, and they still are good. And so that's one point to note. Is a career in banking still attractive? The exit opportunities are good, so in that sense, yes, it is still attractive. But there's lots of other things to consider, and so let's just talk through those quickly. In terms of pay, back in the day, to earn a big salary, it was most common to do so by working for an investment bank. Working as an investment banker, you would get a large salary, you'd get a large bonus. But the truth is, nowadays, with the rise of big tech, with the rise of startups, it's not as hard to find big salaries elsewhere. Like, investment banks aren't the only companies paying big salaries. There are lots of other companies paying big salaries. They might not pay huge bonuses compared to investment banks, but in this day and age, it's easier to get a 50, 60, 70, 80k salary elsewhere as opposed to just strictly being available at an investment bank. So 10, 15 years ago, that wasn't the case. One thing about investment banks that make it still attractive though is the amount of skills that you learn on the job. So naturally, when you're working for an investment bank, it's very high pressure. It builds thick skin. So you're gonna get told a lot of things that you might want to hear, you don't want to hear. You're going to be made to do a lot of things where typically if you're working a 9 to 5, you leave at 5 or 6. But at an investment bank, if someone drops work to you at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 p.m. and they need it for the next morning, you're likely going to have to sit through that, work through it. And so it builds a sense of stamina and a hardworking nature in the early years of your career, which is always important. When you're working for an investment bank, the culture is 100% different from working at a startup or a tech company, and it's a good thing because it allows you to learn to manage your time properly, learn to prioritize. Because the culture is so intense, it means you're not like complacent, you're not relaxing too much, you're constantly on the ball. And so there's high expectations, and when you do that for a few years, you carry that with you wherever you go. So you learn a lot of good skills that will be valuable, not just in your next role, but throughout your life. So that's one of the other benefits of working for an investment bank. And then some of the reasons that might make investment banking careers less attractive in this day and age. The obvious one is work-life balance. A lot of your peers will be earning good salaries, not average, but very good, above average salaries, doing a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6 at a tech company or a startup. And so you consider or you question yourself and you think, you know what, I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week, whereas my friends are working 50, 60 hours a week, and they're not earning, a huge amount less than me. Also, they get weekends off, they get to spend 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. with their friends and family. They don't reject birthdays lastminute.com. They don't miss out on events when they've said they can turn up. Whereas as you're working in a bank, you never know what's going to happen. You never know when you're going to be needed to answer an email, to work on something late at night, and your weekends are usually spent working. You ask yourself, is it worth it? Do I want to spend my life just working away, earning lots of money, but not spending it or finding the time to spend it or sharing it with my friends and family? Whereas my friends, they are working in an exciting company, in a nicer culture with work-life balance, and they get to enjoy the fruits of their labor and hard work that they've put in throughout the years in academia and in work. There might be FOMO, a fear of missing out. You might think, all right, investment banking isn't attractive as a career in this day and age, and so I'm going to apply to consulting firms, tech firms, startups. Working for a startup or a consulting company might not have as good exit opportunities compared to an investment bank. You might think, am I wasting my time and effort here? Do I have a higher potential that I can reach and, make better use of somewhere else? In the back of your mind, you're going to be thinking, maybe I should apply for investment banks. The exit opportunities are great, the pay is great, you learn a lot of strong skills that will help you later on in your career. So you have to weigh the two out. You have to figure out what's best for you and where your interests lie. In this day and age, yes, we live in a world where work-life balance is valued highly. A lot of companies put a lot of emphasis on their respect of your time. And so a lot of the investment banks are trying to protect the hours of the junior employees. So they're trying to get them not to work on weekends. Obviously, if there's work to be done, you're going to be doing it on the weekend. And so that's always going to be out of your control. And also, a lot of the talent that typically apply to investment banks are applying to Google, Facebook, startups, consulting firms. And so investment banks are working even harder to retain this talent, and so they might be paying them more. They're including things like dress down Fridays or casual dress throughout the week in order to make applying to an investment bank attractive, because if all the top talent goes to other companies, investment banks are going to be screwed. Also, you need to ask yourself, where do you stand in terms of, how important is money to you? I know money is great, but a lot of people in the world of banking and finance, they use the amount of money earned as a measure of success or winning. You need to identify if you value that more, or you value, having a good salary and then having a good work-life balance. Where do you fit on that spectrum? And then decide, what type of career suits that. Are you more suited to consulting? Are you more suited to working for a startup? Are you more suited to working for a tech company or doing something completely different? In summary, the truth is, investment banking or working for an investment bank is still an attractive career. However, in this day and age, there are so many other options available to you to earn a lot of money and have a better work-life balance. For example, consider things like the apps on your phone. When you go on your phone and you see the different apps, ask yourself, you probably haven't ever applied or considered applying to some of the most used apps on your phone. Ask yourself, why not? Why don't you apply to some of these companies? Because they do exciting work, they probably pay well, they probably have lots of money to pay people. They're either a tech company or a startup, and it's something different. So you should always consider diversifying your applications. Don't just pigeonhole yourself to applying to the world of banking and finance. Consider consulting, consider science and research, consider engineering, consider the tech world, startups, so on and so forth. If you're keen on finance, definitely apply to investment banks. But once again, do spread your eggs across different baskets. And always remember, careers are long, 30, 40, 50 plus years. And so what you do now isn't going to be the be all and end all. Make sure you don't sit in one career for your whole life. Make sure you try and experiment, try and experience different careers, industries, etc. There's no CEO that gets to the top that has just stayed in one role for their whole career. They try different things, they go to different companies. So I encourage you to try different things, explore and be open-minded. I had a blast making this video, so do consider hitting like and subscribing to the channel. And if you want to learn more about breaking into banking or about the different divisions within an investment bank, check out some of these videos and you can find out more.